All right, we are live. It is October 1st, the spooky month. First day of Q4. Halloween's 30 days away. We have beautiful, cooler weather and maybe some cooler temperatures. I don't know, or cooler prices. I don't know. We had a beautiful blast off green day yesterday. Yesterday was, in my opinion, one of the better analysis days we've had in a while. When everyone else was shorting, we longed, baby. Long, 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 all the way up to the highs. And of course, no shorting until 5 minutes before the bell closed. And of course, that's exactly what happened. Beautiful stuff. Today, I could see a little bit more selling. I could see a little bit more selling. Could. So I like to keep my bias open today. I'm going to be a little curious and kind of keep my options open, so to speak, and see how the month, quarter unravels itself. And according to Spot Gamma, there is still not a lot of options data that suggests downside. Everything that they see is still supportive of a potential rally to 7,000 before the year end. And I know it seems unbelievable, but it's very real. Let me turn my music down real second. It's hard to talk over it. Okay. So we had a very precipitous dump last night. We went from 915 yesterday afternoon all the way down to 633 for almost a 300-point sell-off. And then, of course, what happened? An immediate high-volume 3C bottom wick to come all the way back to 800 for a 170-point bounce to undo half of some of that red. Crazy stuff. Here we are at the open. Let me get the YouTube going. My apologies. There we go. Good morning, good morning. How's it going, Damien? Quackazoid Damien, the other Damien, two Damiens. We'll see your book map. Do you want book map or do you want charts? I know some people like both of them, so we'll have to switch back and forth. 24778. Nice little beautiful bottom wick right now. So far out of the gate, we have 120 million of puts and 80 million of calls, and that they just bamboozled that red candle all the way up to 808. Crazy stuff, bro. Crazy stuff. We have liquidity down and up on both sides on ES and NASDAQ. NASDAQ has absolutely nothing on the book. It's spooky how little they have on the book here. Spooky. We are 2 minutes into the market so far, and we just had a 70-point green candle. Absolutely bamboozled everything. And it's still going. We have liquidity up to 830 on NASDAQ. Looking across the market, the VIX right now is up 1.5% to 1653. Looking at tech, everything is red except for Apple. Apple's green, everything else is red. So yeah, they got liquidity at 24,000. Do they? I didn't see that far down. Oh, look at that. They do have a little liquidity down at 24,000. Muy interesante. Muy interesante. 24,837 still coming up. Maybe a sign of things to come. Interesting. Still going. 815 NASDAQ, blasting green. 20. They had a quick dip and rip right there. No plays for me, obviously. This is very early in the day. Very early in the day. And we're just going to chill and wait, chill and wait, chill and wait. Competition is now live, by the way. If you want $1,000, then join the Discord. Come over and enter the competition. Sign up for a TPT account using code OMTPT. You can pick any account size you like, get funded, and keep that funded account open for 30 days. And I will give you $1,000 cash. Cash money, homie. Actually, technically, it'll be internet credits through the process of Venmo. It won't be cash, because that's the world we live in nowadays. What if I got funded this morning? Yeah, I'll have to be a new account because that's the only way I could track it. Coming up to 840 on up. Digital currency, yeah. Still going, baby. Blastaroni. We're going on a 100-point blast on NASDAQ. It's extraordinary. 1,000 points. We are coming up already. I mean, heck, yesterday's highs was another 80 points up. They have liquidity at 837. I'm going to be very, very patient. We do have an official government shutdown on the books right now, so a lot of the data that we're expecting, we could even see a delay in non-farm payroll on Friday if they elect to keep it closed. Now, they usually do this kind of crap where they shut it down, and then like 37 seconds later, they go, oh, we finally met a CR, and we're going to open the government back up, and it's just a bunch of hocus-pocus theater nonsense anyway, which is what everything is anyway. And if that happens, of course, expect a little bit of shaking and baking in the price action. Democrats blaming Republicans, Republicans blaming Democrats, yet we're stuck holding the bag while they fly off in their $400 million private jets. Polymarket is expecting a long shutdown. Polymarket's usually on it, man. They're usually on it. In your opinion, which one would be the best, 50 or 70K? I have one of each. It's really dealer's choice. I've heard people that they do the best on the smallest accounts, like the $25,000, and I've heard people that they do the biggest accounts. It's really up to you. My personal favorite is probably either the 75 or the 100 account, because that kind of is the best for my personal risk tolerance. That's going up to the 150 in my opinion, which I do have an 150 account. Going to the 150 is not necessary. I think the 100 is completely sufficient, especially when you get through the drawdown. You have to realize all of these accounts, they only really matter in the infancy of the funded process. Once you hit the buffer and start to build a balance, it doesn't matter anyway. None of you should be trading with more than 5 or 6 minis anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Only after the infancy of the account. So just choose whatever is convenient for you and whatever comfortable for you. I've only been able to get payouts on 25K account, even though I have gotten to the funded in all accounts. Nice. Well, there you go. Most shouldn't be trading with 1 or 2 minis. Yeah, 100% they shouldn't. All right, Blastaroni with cheese here. Coming up, no plays from me just yet. We just filled the topside liquidity, and we do not have a volume spike yet. So if I do not have a volume spike yet, of course, I can't even consider short positions. I will say I will probably entertain a short position today, possibly, but I need to be very, very strict on a high volume spike. So I'd be more likely today than in months past. However, I'm still in the ballpark of wanting to buy the dip more aggressively. So don't hear what I'm not saying. I notice you use Top Step, but the contest is on TPT. Why the difference? Because Top Step only allows payouts every 5 days. And I think TPT is better for someone trying to start out because they can get the daily payouts. When one of the rules of the account is to take 3 payouts throughout that month to be qualified for the $1,000. And the reason being was with the daily payouts, that should be pretty doable over the next month. The reason why Top Step makes you go 5 days without a payout is because they know the average trader is not going to be able to last 5 days. Especially the second they're able to trade bigger position sizing because they have scaling, that the average trader is going to last about 2, maybe 3 days, and they're going to blow up and they're never going to take a payout. Whereas TPT, all you got to do is hit the buffer, and you could take payouts every day. Yeah, Top Step's trading platform, in my opinion, is phenomenal. They did a great job with Top Step X. They did a great job. Still going, 836, no high volume spike. See down here, there's no volume, so there's no actionable short for me. The risk is still blow off top here with no volume spike because we haven't hit supply yet. You've got to be able to slow this freight train down, and right now, there's nothing on the railroad tracks to slow this train down. At least not obviously. What's the buffer? Oh man, I think it's 3,000 on the 400 on 100K. You're very welcome, Doug. Right now we have 291 million in calls, 25 million in puts. We have a very small top tick up here, 24,820. And I think we just hit a 200-point recovery. No, 190-point recovery. No, 200 points right there. Yeah. 200-point recovery off of the overnight shenanigans. off of the trend line, by the way, if you're tracking trend lines. And look, another big bottom wick to go back up. No shorting. No shorting. Unless you have a very high confident, high volume 3C top wick. Until then, you are step in front of a freight train. I'm warning you. I'm warning you. 24,850 liquidity, which is 25 points up. Rest of the market right now is predominantly red, although they're recovering. You know, Meta's not recovering. Google recovered, but it's hanging out. Interesting. Microsoft is down. There's not a lot of green to support the NASDAQ going so green. Interesting. Interesting. If there was ever a strong move up or down, and we are moving with a little volume, does that mean this most likely? Yes. So the lack of 3C indication, the lack of volume shows continuation. So like up here, the fact that there's no volume whatsoever tells me that we're going higher, probably 850, and now they're putting liquidity on at 870. I would say 870. And I know some of y'all shorted this, thinking that we're going to roll back over with that top wick, and you're about to get pounded. But unfortunately, with lack of volume here, we're going to climb up through this area, and I'd look for 860, 870 if they hold 840. And then, of course, once you have that top wick, then you could take your position. How's everybody doing on the old YouTube? The old YouTube. Still just chillaxing. $24,820. 191 million in calls, 4 million in puts, and we're just hanging out up here at 800. We do have some data today, so be careful. We had a little bit of data at 8:15 today, and that led to about a 45-point drop on NASDAQ, which of course, bottom wick to go higher. What's up, Jonathan? How you doing? How's the rest of the week looking for NASDAQ? I don't know, man. If I had the answer to that, I would be worth a lot more zeros than I am. I know OM doesn't trade the first 15 minutes, but have you seen 3Cs work regularly at the open? I'm sure it does. The first 15 minutes is driven by manipulation. By true manipulation, not, oh, the market makers are screwing me over. Because the intent of the order book in the first 15 minutes is to shake out, and then after that it's going to be the actual management of the trades, the overnight trades. So there's an explosive amount of volume hitting the tape. You know, algorithms, dealers, retail, everyone is fighting for the bids and the asks, and off we go. So does it work? Probably, because volume is usually going to work. But the issue is that the volume is always high, so it's difficult to do the analysis against anything else. Because if you always go off of the opening volume, then you're always going to get a high volume alert. So if it works all the time, then it works none of the time, if that makes sense. Yeah, higher time frames is probably going to work just fine. Oh man, we're just chilling. They're starting to climb into some puts here and sell off a little bit of the calls there, but we still don't have a volume spike, so no shorting for me. Although we could lead to a little bit of roll into the late morning, maybe even, of course, right at the 9:45 or 10 o'clock time frame, but no shorting until I see volume. Other than that, long bias only. It means you don't consider the opening high volume as a benchmark. I don't know if I'm clear. The opening volume, I do not even analyze it from a VPA standpoint because it's very difficult to analyze from a VPA standpoint. Now, you could still play it. Some people only play the first 15 minutes. That's momentum manipulation. Sure, it just doesn't fit my style because I have to have a good amount of volume to show confidence. And the first 15 minutes just doesn't do that. Not from a VPA standpoint. I mean, I've put on some trades in the first 15 minutes that were absolutely bangers. Huge, huge trades. But again, everything that I drive in my system and everything I try to teach you all is consistency of what you can do every day. It's not about any one trade that's good or bad. It's about what you do consistently over the long haul. And you can't consistently trade the first 15 minutes high confidently with the 3 Cs because it's always high volume. And that's the point. I would rather you take consistent trades over consistent good quality R&R support trades over the next 6 months than one big banger trade that just so happens to hit, but then you're going to get wrecked tomorrow. I've read and heard from a lot of people who only play the first 20 minutes, so I have no idea how they do it. Yeah, good on them if they do it. It doesn't work with me. There's 1,000 different ways to skin a cat, and I skin cats with volume. What's your position sizing when you have all 3 Cs? My max position size is between 3 to 4 minis. I've done 5 before. Heck, I mean, with props I've done 15 before, but it's atrocious. So consistently, it's about 3 to 4 minis. A little bit of red, a little bit of red, and we're just chopping back and forth. What I would like to see to even entertain a short position is a blast off green that's quick out of the gate, and then they top wick with volume. That'll get you short. Other than that, it's long bias only, baby, because we could be looking at 865, 870 before they dump this thing, if they dump it. Right now, I want to be very careful with the terminology here because right now there's no volume. No volume, baby. How am I able to see your streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays? You'll have to join the Discord. The Discord's closed for Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I do stream in the server Tuesdays and Thursdays, as well as any other extracurricular events like FOMC and whatnot that happens in the afternoon. I didn't stream yesterday afternoon, although I was active in the server calling out the plays, which, if you were listening to me, should have made a ton of money, because that was a fantastic afternoon. You have to be very careful being short biased into the last day of the quarter. That thing always has a tendency to just go nuts to the upside. Consistency, that's right. Who's buying this crap every day at 4 a.m. when the market open and pumping it up? I mean, that's been happening now for, forever. The market always tends to bounce and go higher in the overnight session. You do, Gavin. Yep, you do, Gavin. It's $25 a month. You head to theoptionsmillionaire.com to sign up. Right there. Gold right now is back and forth. They had a nice, beautiful 3C volume bounce at fit 38.95. Oil is coming lower after a pretty aggressive sell-off session in pre-market trading. Their overall base is about 60.8. Look, NASDAQ, a little bit of red, but immediate bottom wick. Right here. That big liquidity on NASDAQ is interesting. Interesting. Way, way down. Is it still on NASDAQ? Because I know ES had some stuff lower too. Huh. So ES didn't add anything new. They still have their levels at 6,500, 6,375, 6,250. Can anyone? I don't even know if I've looked down that far on Nasdaq. Does anyone know if that's been on there for a while? Or is that new? That big liquidity. Big red candle. Look at that. Wow. Wow. Schmokeroonies with cheese. 661.5 is my target. Nice. Nice. Well, that's unfortunate. They dumped it without a high volume spike. I would love to have been in on that, but yeah, it's okay. 753 dropping back over, coming down to 743. We've got major put buying hitting the tape here. In fact, they just went to 1.2 billion in puts as they dumped this thing all the way back over. Wow, look at that. Look at that. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Man, that's insane volume. There's the opening low right there with incredibly high volume. And they are pounding this thing lower. They just cleared all the liquidity off the books, too. Interesting. 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 742. This open smells like a bearish range day. Could. It could. I'm just going to be smart. This thing is very, very dumpy. Right there. 746. Let's see what they're going to do now. See what they're going to do now, baby. 65 million in calls sold, 1.2 billion in puts. So an aggressive bear move that came down and just tapped not only the opening low here, but this little pivot now from what 815 or so. An incredibly high volume bounce right there. So a little 3C setup here as people try to chase the short, get bamboozled. And there's a quick 40-point bounce off of the lows. High volume bottom wick, baby. High volume bottom wick. Looks like NASDAQ still wants to bounce where it bounced yesterday. Possibly. Yep. Just be smart. We're now inside my trading time zone, by the way. So I'm going to be looking to put something on. Looking to put something on. $24,762. Five-minute. Woo! Man, look at that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Up to 762. Beautiful. $775. The ES 6704 target is your target for you. Nice, nice. A little bit of a top wick there. $752. So after that high, oh, look at that 24,650 they put on. Interesting. They're going to shake this thing out. Interesting. All right, so 756 here after a top wick. So they put on a nice high volume bounce. If they fail, this could be, I mean, it could be a spicy day. Like I said earlier, that's what, like I said last night, is that the price action today is going to be a little less bullish than we've been anticipating. I just really wish they would have given me a high volume indication at the highs there, because that would have been a beautiful short. But look, they just put down 24,650, so let this thing shake out, and we're going to put something on. They're still piling into puts and selling the living crap out of some calls. All right, what's the 50 on this? 772. Remember, we do have data today, so be careful. We do have data. Let's see. 67.13. This is the shakeout bounce, of course. All those who chase the short positions, they hit that lower support, high volume, and that was a great 60-point bounce. And I know patience will pay me. I just got to be patient for it. You should add your competition to your homepage. I should. It's a good idea. Yeah. Shouldn't government shutdown affect the markets? Negative. In fact, historically, the markets perform bullish throughout a shutdown. But I think we can agree is that the market no longer does anything based on bullish, bearish results, based on any fundamentals. It's all based on just pure blast off erroneous. So the lower left indicator for options flow, is that their Thinkorswim? This is their what's called their hero indicator, HIRO, and that traps options flow. So I don't know what the equivalent is. I would say, in my opinion, the equivalent would be something like unusual whales, but this one's better. Do we just double bottom? We did something. We did something. 24,780. Still going up. Beautiful bottom wick is following through, baby. Beautiful bottom wick. Coming up to 7,800. All the way back up. Gold grab, dump, grab cycle, paying your food salary for a year. I love it. I love it. Man, what a freaking move this is. What a move this is. Beautiful. Beautiful. They're selling back all those puts they rolled into, so whatever that was is quickly being moved off the books. Quickly being moved off the books. Amazing stuff. Look at that. Look at that move. Look at that move. Freaking beautiful, man. Absolutely freaking beautiful. Buy the dip over and over. Over and over. Why did you personally not like this trade? I do not like shorting when there's no volume. When I see no volume, I can't even entertain a short. Yes, I mean, even that thing dumped over 120 points, but I can't do it. If you short without that stuff, and especially after some bullishness, you're going to get wrecked. Most of the time, you're going to get wrecked. Yes, obviously that time would have worked out, but to me, it's just about buying the dip. I want to buy the dip. Look for the high volume bounces. That's where the confidence is over and over and over again. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. $496 million in calls sold, $720 million in puts. And we're up here rejecting 800 again. What's your comments on gold, Tenchi? I'm curious. What is that? Your go-to play of the day? I love it. Nice little top wick here. Technically, that is a higher volume indication. Right at 800, rolling back over. So far, we're hollowing out a lot of price action. A lot of price action. Top wick off R1, definitely. With high volume, too. You see that quick candle? The quick candle with high volume? Don't chase the quick candles. Chicago PMI consensus is at 49. Nice. We have data in 1 minute. Be careful. Let's see what they're going to do. Data in 1 minute. Today just wrecked everyone's prop accounts. Not if you're following volume. There we go. Probably straight up for data. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Still dropping it over. There's a lot of big moves here today, man. Everyone can pull up a chair to the table today. That was a quick candle. That 956 candle was the quick candle. The blast off quick out of nowhere right into volume, that is, to me, textbook shenanigans. And I never want to chase those. Uh-oh. What are we doing? Uh-oh. What are we doing? Man, look at this. They just hollowed out that black hole of liquidity right here at 21,770. Spicy. A little too spicy. Question on oil. We were reaching support, high volume, but we also have news. What are your thoughts? Is this high volume something not going to follow? Let's take a look. So oil, they had the high volume right at the open, 61.42, and then another 3C at another one at 61.42 again, and then coming back up. I mean, I don't want to chase. The entry was a little bit late, so I wouldn't necessarily chase this. But, I mean, you definitely want to be looking for those 3Cs at the lows like that. But right now, you just wait for price action to kind of shift again. I like TPT so far, but I think we need to find another one too. I just had to purposely try and lose $1,000 so I didn't go past the $1,500 a day max. Yeah, but they all do that though. I think Apex doesn't have that rule, I think. But obviously Apex has their own monstrosity of rules. So, I mean, I think pretty much all props do something along those lines. But, I mean, I'm happy to test out other prop firms that y'all want. It's just right now, these are the only two I have. And honestly, if I'm being honest, I'm not really interested in adding any more prop companies. Simply because of, between trading my IBKR and trading two different props, I'm spinning a lot of plates here. And I don't like copy trading, so I can't put them all on one copy trade. But I'd be happy to check out, test out some stuff, give you my opinion on it. How long have I been trading the 3Cs? Well, 3Cs is just a way to identify TPT. I was reading comments. It's a way for me to identify volume profile, which I've been trading for, years now, years and years. The 3Cs I came up with, back in June, just to quantify something I can give to you all of the volume of the VPA, and that's something I've been struggling with finding on how to teach that. But I think this is something I can do. TPT is unusable. No, I disagree. TPT is, in my opinion, even better than Top Step once you hit the buffer. I haven't heard spinning a lot of plates in a while. Nice. Can you also pass evals on other red folder news, which is nice? Yeah. All right. Hanging out smack dab in the middle of the range here. They are selling calls and buying puts at a very high rate. At a very high rate. TPT is goated. You should never be using such big possession sizing if the drawdown is an issue. Definitely. If you respect TPT during the buffer creation, you can make a ton of money with them simply by doing the daily payouts. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. So far, big green candles. Still going and going. Massive, massive moves. They're putting on high liquidity up and down. So maybe a egregious range day today. So far, the only high confident 3C we've had is this big old high volume bounce at 949. It's fantastic. I just finished my last trade to get funded, so the key is to trade middies until you create a buffer. Micros until you create buffer. Especially if you're newly funded. If this is like your first funded account, yeah, you need to start small. Yep. It's the reason why the purpose of the competition for me is to force you all to get to the point where you're thinking about longevity, not how much money can I take out today? How much money can I make on this one trade today? Because once you do that, you could start thinking like a trader, and all you have to do is take some payouts, fund your personal account, and that's all you need. You're set. You're set. Why micros? Why not just less minis? Because some people can't even trade one mini without getting destroyed. Textbook trade for me. This stuff works. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Christian. Well done, buddy. Well done. Any advice on letting stops breathe before you start trailing tighter? I only move my stops when the market moves on structure. I set my stop and I do not touch it, period. Every single time I try to move my stop whenever something happens because of emotions, it's a terrible decision. Either I stop out way too soon and I give up a whole bunch of profit, or I just make a dumb decision. So set your stop based on the market structure, based on your setup, based on your thesis, and then don't touch it. And then when the market shifts higher and breaks out above a prior resistance or support or whatever it is, then you move the trailing stop up so it does its job of locking in profit and protecting yourself. But a trailing stop is not there to ease your emotions on losing money. All right, sorry about that. Freaking kids getting a little rambunctious in here. In terms of volumes, demand is more strong and clear than supply. To me, falling volume into demand is a lot easier during a bull market. It's a lot easier to identify in a bull market. Sorry about that. All right. Yeah, dumb public schools. With regard to adequate frequency, okay, I already answered that. So it'd be correct to assume that in a bear market, spotting reversal at the top of the series is a little bit easier to identify. Yes, so when the market is down, when the market is top wicking and selling, it's a lot easier to identify the top wicks with volume. That's why, like, in a relentless bull trend, it's why that I've made the decision the past 4 months to only buy the dip, because it's a lot easier. It's a lot less stressful. Even if I have to wait out 200 points of selling, it's just a lot less stressful to look for the high volume 3C. And I think today's market, today's session, highlights that exact theory, because there wasn't any high volume to sell back off, and yet we dropped, what, 120 points? And then we had an incredibly high volume bounce, and here we are, we ate the whole thing back up. So it's just a lot easier to wait for the high volume bounces. Now, when things get top wicky, when the market moves into a sell-off event, then it's a lot easier to see the high volume top wicks, because the market is supportive of sell-offs, or I guess that's a weird way to put it, but the market is consistent with sell-offs. Happy Bookmap Wednesday, that's right. Have I seen the ADP correction? I have seen it. It's atrocious, to say the least. It would be great to have a year's subscription with you as the prize in the next one, if you have one. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like it. Coming up to 850. Very, very large climb here. 100-point bounce. 120-point sell-off, 100-point bounce so far. Lifetime would be better. If I'm giving away a lifetime membership, it's going to be a very difficult competition. Still coming back up. What about giving away a pair of Velcro sneakers? I don't know what Velcro sneakers are. All right, so still going up here, 821. Higher highs, higher lows. We have 700 million calls sold, 700 million puts purchased. We have no high volume spikes to indicate a slowdown of this upside just yet. And we're just kind of grinding higher. Grinding higher. The old people sneakers? Oh, you're talking about like the... Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Sketchers that light up. Alrighty, what are we doing here? Let's take a look at the S&P. RTY is 2451. Platinum's getting wrecked, but they have a high volume indication on platinum. Could be a base on platinum there with that volume. Take a look. Gold's doing the same thing, except not nearly as aggressive. And oil's still staying down. I'm in the put side of an iron condor. I haven't had the call side yet. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Well, if you don't have a high volume indication, you don't do anything. Right now, we're just flying, baby. Flying. And if they take out that high there at 840, then it's going to be off to the races. Do you stay away from trading oil during the open as well? Honestly, I don't look at it that much. The only time I trade anything other than the S&P and NASDAQ is if I'm alerted to a high volume 3C. I don't sit there and watch it like I do ES and NASDAQ. You're not liking this action? This is beautiful action, dude. This is beautiful action. Still going. How do you buy to join the trend after that morning sell-off? You just have to find a pullback to buy. I know it's difficult. You know, in fact, a couple of days ago, I had to resort to just chasing because there was no, like, the market was straight up. There was no way to really get in, so I had to get in. So at some point, I mean, you got to make a decision. What do you want to do? And the theory that I think about is that if there's a trend up, I ask myself at any point, if I don't want to enter long, I ask myself, do I want to short this? And most of the time, the answer is no, I would not short this. So in that case, I need to remain long biased. So I wait for pullbacks. I do everything I can to control my entry. But at some point, the market just keeps on going and going and going and going, and it doesn't give you a good, obvious long entry. So you just got to get in, which is not really a good answer. But that's really all I got for you. And a move like this, you know, we are coming up to prior resistance here at 840. We've already had two little pullbacks with volume to kind of go back higher. If they take out 840, especially since that was not high volume, this looks like a liquidity gathering, then we're going to blast right on back up to yesterday's high. Can you trade platinum on TPT? You cannot trade platinum. Yep. I bought too late, but I'm still on profit. I'm just going to count my stuff to keep me there. Nice. I know we're in the right direction, but I'm sticking to my thesis. Nice. Take the highs, trying to. Still going. Still going. All right, what are we thinking? What are we thinking? Let's take a look. 24,650 on NASDAQ is a lower price. $67.05 is lower by about 15 points. Still going. Still going, baby. Especially on the 1 minute like this, when you see this type of price action, especially on the 1 minute, it's long biased. There's no sweeping candles. There's no quick stuff here. So just wait for volume and then keep on going. Keep on going. We have liquidity 67.05 on NASDAQ. Or I'm sorry, at ES. We have NASDAQ has got very little on the books, but some outlier stuff, 25,000 and 650, 24,650. We're just blasting. New high of the day right there. No volume spike. Still going. 24,850 is next target. We are on very thin ice here for the bears. Very thin ice. This could turn bullish. So you said this dip had no high volume. The short had no volume, yes. Not the volume that I need, at least. So the high volume there at, you know, between 933 and 947, there was no volume spike to indicate a short. So that, whatever that was obviously just liquidity to gather and go higher, because this is launching. Launching. Look at this. This is extraordinary price action. Extraordinary price action. They are selling puts like nobody's business. They just went from 1.2 billion to, oh, they're still selling puts. Look at that. And buying calls. This is going to get silly very quickly. This is going to get silly very quickly. Wow. Extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. I haven't opened my prop in a bit, but I had a ton of issues logging in yesterday. Sent customer service request, no help, so I tried again, and this is my error message. Probably going 24.875, maybe. 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 So we have our first high volume there at 850, but things are still going very, very green. We have, let's see, what is this? Man, they just sold all those puts off. They went from 1.1 billion puts all the way to 420 million puts, and they're still going melt up green 860 and going even higher. Blast off 863. We're at the top of whatever this little trend line is, so we do have a pretty aggressive trend line here, and we do have a high volume spike, so maybe we'll get a top wick there, but other than that, man, no shorting. No shorting. As per the usual, no shorting. This is nutty, nutty price action. Melt up, blast off price action to catch everybody off guard. 863, still going. 865, 866. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Amazing. Look at this price action. Look at this freaking price action. Biggest day of the week by far. This is absolutely extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. 47 million calls sold, and they're selling off every single put. Abso-freaking-lutely extraordinary. Wow. Abso-freaking-lutely extraordinary. No shorting, only by the dip. Period. Wow. Still going. Still freaking going. Just ride the stops up at this point. There's no such thing as a trailing stop with this price action. It's just going, baby. Just freaking going. 25 million in calls sold, 278 million in puts, and they are just piling into long positions. They caught everybody off guard trying to short. All the perma bears shorted that low at 24.727, not with that high volume. Boom. Boom. I need that Denzel Washington gif. Boom. It's extraordinary. 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 Probably going to 875. Nice. Well done. How'd you see that? It's good stuff. Good stuff, man. Beautiful top wick off of a high volume spike. Wow. So we have a little liquidity. What is that, 859 or so? They might pull back to that or so. I don't know. We have a decent little high volume spike after a very extended bull move. But that is fantastic, dude. Fan-freaking-tastic. Fantastic. If they claim that back up without a top wick, I'd look for 900, 912, yesterday's highs or so. And we're just going. We're just going. Blast off, man. Way even more bullish than yesterday's price action. This is glorious. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. They're adding a little liquidity down to 850, so that would be a 20-point retraction, and that would gather. That would prior high at about 840, so that makes sense. But so far, they're still bottom wicking everything. Everything. Wow, that's insane, dude. That's insane. What a freaking day. What a freaking day. Alrighty. Still holding 860, 870 here. Still going up. We have a high volume spike that noted the top at 883, but they're still holding. There's no selling nature here. There's no top wicks at all. Everything is bottom wicking and holding. And if they come up and reclaim 882, I'd look for 900, 915. Let's go, baby. Let's go. 870. Come on, baby. Give me the eyes. Give me the highs. Come on. Come on. Give me the highs. Come on. Give me that 900, baby. Come on. Come on. Trap the shorts, baby. Let's go. Give me 900. Come on, baby. Do it. Do it. Come on, baby. There it is. Come on. Come on. Love it. Love it. Oh, I love it. Love it. The struggle is real, but I'm determined. Since falling 3 Cs, I managed to rebuild 2 of my stupid days. I'm back to green. Now focus even to grind or harder on getting past. Love it. Well done. Show me what you got. Wife's in the next room. I apologize. Up, up, and away, baby. Give me a dip. You ain't getting a dip, baby. You ain't getting a dip. You only buy. You only buy. Still going, baby. 882. Let's go to 900. Give me 900. The high C, high volume 3C bounce. That's it. The same thing over and over again for months and months and months. No shorting. No shorting. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Seems like it's setting up for a big green day. Heck yeah, baby. Well done, Dave. That's awesome, buddy. Keep it up. I'd love to see it. Great job using the lockout feature, too, man. This is extraordinary. Extraordinary. Yeah, buddy. 3 Cs are incredible. That's right. That's how I had to show my 2 stupid days. Heck yeah. The 3 C's, baby. Who bought the 3C bounce? Amazing. Still going. There's 894. Looks like we're going back to 900. This is straight up blast off, baby. I don't like the weakness in Apple and Microsoft. I don't care. I see no weakness on NASDAQ now, baby. And until I see a high volume top wick that takes out the lows, I'm riding this baby to Valhalla at 900, baby. Let's go. All the way up. All the way up. All the way up. Waiting on 900, baby. All the way up. Let's go. Let's go. I'm in. Heck yeah, man. I've been in since the freaking 3C, man. I got 75 points on the move, done for the day. All accounts are locked for the day. Nice, Damien. Keep it up. Valhalla Patel reference. I could care less what that jabroni says. That guy's an idiot. It's a military reference. I only got to my desk now just asking. No, I got you, Dan. I got you. I got you, Dan. 890 to 900 all the way up. The rage. I'm pumped, dude. I'm jacked to the gills. I'm jacked to the gills. You're welcome, Straight Trader. Appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you. All right, so no shorting whatsoever. Like especially yesterday, I had to do everything I could to strip the bear bias from y'all's freaking minds yesterday. And I think I did a good job, hopefully. Today, for the love of God, no shorting without a high volume 3C top wick. Period. Just be freaking careful, dude. Ride the wave. Ride the wave. I'm officially flat after this little red candle. I'm out. Officially flat. Officially flat. Oh crap, I gotta get onto Bookmap. Alright, y'all. I'm gonna switch over to Bookmap real quick. If you're unaware, I switch over to Bookmap about 9:30 here. I'm gonna copy and post the links in the stream when they're ready. Just give me about 30-45 seconds and I'll be on. I'm out.